All right, welcome back everyone to another episode of the Health Made Simple show. I'm here with our host, Dr. Bart Precourt, who has been a healthcare practitioner for over 20 years, practicing a range of modalities, including chiropractic, acupuncture, kinesiology, functional nutrition and supplementation, and lab testing, all out of his clinic, Balance Health Studio in Seagrove Beach, Florida, as well as virtually with people all around the world. He is the founder of the Health Edge program, which is a cutting-edge health program for entrepreneurs and executives wanting to take their health to the next level. He's worked with celebrities and athletes all around the world, and tonight is available to answer your questions. So as you said, we've already got some good ones sent in, but if you guys have some more, let us know. I'm looking forward to diving in.
Yeah, as usual, a bunch of good questions. Things keep popping up, and this seems to be the week of like talking about energy and adrenals. This morning, Karen, so I go live often in the morning. Like I'll do like this live Facebook, a simple health tip. And this morning, I did one on talked about the adrenals. So really, what happens? Whatever's like the popular topic, or people that are asking me on a daily basis, like in clinic and stuff. Whatever's the hot topic. I'll typically then turn around and do like a Facebook Live on it, and adrenals. And I think there's a reason, like adrenals and energy really popping up this week. So I did one this morning. So then we got a lot of feedback, like questions about it. So I think that's why there's so many questions about energy and adrenals. And I tell you, if there was a possibility of like just packing up, like take this and you have all the energy you ever want, like I'd be bazillion, but as we'll get into tonight, we can create that, but it's processed a little bit, and understanding that process is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, that's one that leads into our first question, which really is just what can I do for no energy?
Yeah, so that might be like that question right there. Like, what can I do to get more energy? What if I'm exhausted? I want to take this in a couple different directions, because this is really this is probably the biggest topic in healthcare. Like, we're all trying to do whatever we can do to get more energy, because with more energy, we can, explore more in life. We can have more energy to, spend time with our families and our friends, or work, or whatever it may be. But it all requires energy, and that's such an important starting point for us. So, I want a couple different directions we're going to take this conversation. One is that let's just start about energy. Like, where does it come from? How do we actually get it? Can we make more of it? And technically, we have really the same amount of energy that we're born with. So especially when we look at energy in the source of qi, and in traditional Chinese medicine, we're always thinking about the qi. How balanced is it? Is it blocked? Is it flowing? And we have too much, and there's too much or too little of that. So there's two ways that we get qi in life, Karen, or we'll call it energy. You're born with a certain amount, and that'd be almost the genetics that you get. So you have a certain amount of energy. I'm going to give you my best simple analogy in just a moment here. And then the other part is that you are breathing in and out energy all day long. Our ability to breathe in clean air is one of the most significant things that you'll ever do for energy. So let's just say that, we all have clean air to some degree, or have access to air, which is awesome. And the other part is, what is it about our body? So here's going to be my analogy, and then we'll talk about like what can we do to then help this speed track this to having more energy. So imagine, for those of you watching, this is awesome. If you're just listening here, I'm holding my hand up and I have all 5 fingers out. So I want you to imagine that you have 5 units of energy, and you're born with this energy. So through the course of your life, one of the biggest things is to not give up your energy. We are wasting energy too frequently. So especially nowadays, we see people wasting energy on our thoughts. So imagine, I'm going to just kind of click away here. If you've got a lot of thoughts right now, and you have anger, or you have fear, or you have worry, or you have concern, boom, you lose some energy. Now you only have 4 units left.
Yeah.
Let's just say, for example, that you might be involved with some other people that are like energy vampires. Maybe by this, maybe by not, but they're an energy vampire, but you keep hanging out with them. Maybe that's the job you work at. Maybe it's just your friends. And heck, it could be a family member. But anyways, you're hanging out with an energy vampire. There goes a unit of energy. Now you're down only 3 units. You only got 3 bits of energy. You had 5. And now let's just say hypothetically that some of the food you eat has chemicals in it.
Yeah.
We wouldn't do that here, like on the Health Made Simple, show, but our listeners, right? But let's just say you're putting foods into your body that has glyphosate, that they have chemicals, they got, all this junk in there, and boom, you got to spend energy on that. So now you only got a little bit of energy left, right? And if you run out of energy, run out of vitality, basically run out of your life. So, and now let's imagine that you're no longer 20 and you're 50 years old, you're 60, you're 70, and along the way that maybe you beat up your body a little bit, and now your body is always in repair of something. Maybe it's a shoulder that you beat up, maybe it's fixing up your liver, whatever it may be. And you just got this single unit of energy left over. And that's all you got. So how do we go about getting more energy? Well, let's do this. Let's improve our tribe. Let's clean up our thoughts, right? Let's put the right food into our body. Let's put the food, nutrients, oxygen, herbs, whatever it may be, to repair the body. That's how we technically get energy back.
Yeah, love that.
Shell. It's as much about not losing energy as it is about getting energy. Now, sometimes we only have that little bit of energy left, and our bodies literally break down. And therefore, then we rush to modern day, healthcare, or even what I do, and people say, well, what's wrong with me? And then we look at the whole sequence. We go, well, you're probably 30 pounds overweight. You've been eating, you putting toxins in your body for the last 20, 25 years. Your stomach, your acids are weak. Your liver, you're getting fatty liver. You've got some adrenal fatigue. And then we got to go fix those things. But the beauty is that they're fixable. So understanding energy is probably the most important thing. I know everyone right now could reduce their fear, worry, concern, and frustration overnight. And most right now, Karen, I think many of us are really zapping our energy because we're losing it.
Yeah.
And wasted space and wasted thoughts, social media and things that you can't control. I shared with you, just before the show, that last couple of days I've been really busy doing a bunch of cool things and taking a little time to rest up as well. And I haven't really been on social media, and I really don't watch the news on TV or anything. So I've been kind of in my own world. Man, it's been good.
Right. And I was saying that sometimes, for me, sometimes I actually have to remove myself, like go camping somewhere without phone reception. But man, it's a different type of rest. We really almost do need those regular, like, get off social media, stop all the bombardment, because even if you think that you're like keeping strong, like it seeps in. Like if you're watching it, it's hard to like really block it out if you're consuming it.
Yeah, and how we participate in those, and that we give them mentally and emotionally, that's a big part of it. And just acknowledging it, us having this conversation, just like, that's right. Like, if I want more energy, I have to stop giving it up. So with that being said, there's no doubt when we want to get energy back, if you've just been a tired person, maybe for a week, a month, a year, listen, there's a couple key things. One, adrenal health always has to be addressed. And then also gut health. Gut health is probably the primary, because if your gut isn't balanced and it's not working really good, it's going to be very difficult to have any true vitality, because really our energy and our immune system really starts in our gut. So if there was a single place to start, although it's not a fast one, it's gut health. Adrenals, the nice thing about our adrenals, and I think we have a question there as well. Maybe we'll tackle that one next.
Yeah.
Your adrenals, and that's the conversation I had this morning. So when your adrenals get tired, then your body almost intentionally prevents you from having enough energy to go do more harm, to get involved in things that suck more energy out of your life. We forget that our body is always on our side.
Yeah. Such a good one. It is. There's a reason you're feeling tired.
Our bodies are not our enemy.
Yeah.
And we often treat our bodies like they are. And, and I see so many people fatigued right now. In the general feel is that there's something wrong with me. Like almost like there's people are mad at themselves or mad at the way that the body's responding. So I want to just kind of encourage everyone, listen, if don't get mad at your body. Your body's on your side. It's never lying to you either. So real quickly, so if you came into my clinic, we have an energy tonic, and it's really cool, and it's not a stimulant, and one of the best herbs out there. It's a little bit more of an expensive herb because it's hard to extract a really good source of it. It's something called Korean ginseng. So we use a liquid tonic of Korean ginseng and LivCo. LivCo is another great for vitality, stamina, being able to have a good, strong, robust immune system. We use that combination. It's not something, Karen, they would have, if someone does want it, they have to either come by the office or call there, and then we can send it directly, but it's literally an energy tonic. But I'll tell you, and I use it, so I think I've shared here, I don't eat during, when I work. So, and that could be a variable anywhere from, maybe 17 hours, but maybe up to 20, 21 hours. But I will use herbs, and that is one of the herbs that I use pretty regularly.
Okay, awesome. I'll put the phone number of the clinic up for everyone so that if they do want to get in touch to get some of that, they can. And then sleep. I mean, while people are having these thoughts and things, they're not sleeping, right?
Yeah, so I didn't really talk about that. And again, that's really like a big time. Yeah, because that's a big time priority. And absolutely that it's huge, because the more we have the fear, worry, and concern and that anxiousness build up, we interrupt our sleeping patterns, which is huge. So whatever we can do to, kind of fix up those, let's say, again, if I use that analogy, if I have, 5 fingers and each one of them represents some energy, but I'm giving it up to, I'm losing energy thinking about a certain thing. If we can, kind of get off that track. And if it's social media, maybe it's not social media. My wife was laughing at me the other day. She picked up my phone. I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say this. And she's like, all you have on your feed, I'm just going to say what it is. All I have on my feed are like cars, it's all about Porsches. I'm obsessed right now. I want to buy an older model Porsche. So everything is just like, so Kelly's like, get off social media. I'm like, I'm not on social media. I'm obsessing about another car, but nonetheless, so I'm always car, so they come into my feed all the time. And then I don't even know why I'm doing this, but everything else is about like armor, like body armor and weaponry and all this other stuff. I don't know, I keep clicking these buttons. They look really cool. So my feed is just infiltrated with like body armor, camouflage, and Porsches. So
it's really interesting when you do look at other people's feeds, because it's everyone's got a different feed. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were talking earlier about how people don't realize sometimes how little sleep they're getting and how that might actually be helping them get sick or draining their energy. We're not very good at realizing what we're doing ourselves. Sometimes, it takes a real good look at what has my lifestyle been recently to be able to see, is there some things here that are actually sucking my energy?
Yeah. And that's, that's a great, just thing you can on a piece of paper, like where do you spend your energy, and do a list of it. There are some things recently, I did this about 2 months ago, and I just looked at where am I putting the most amount of energy when I get done something. So for example, this is something I do every Tuesday night. I just worked a really long day. This is something that energizes me. So when I get done, even though it's a part of my schedule stuff, but it energizes me. Oddly enough, like clinic, it energizes me, and that's because I'm there 2 days a week now. When I was doing it 4 days a week, it was starting to wear on me a little bit different. But so to do kind of like an overview of the things that you're doing in your life, and then if you can make adjustments, awesome. Because if you run out of energy, what's the point of doing all those things anyways? And I think that is a real good let that one sink in a little bit. If what you're doing in your life is sucking life right out of you, sometimes you just need to pump the brakes a little bit and step back and see if there's different ways to go about it. So
yeah, Lisa and Eric here have said you want to make a fast, fashionable, clean getaway.
Yeah, there you go. I love it.
Yeah, love it. They've got it. Awesome. All right, cool. Questions are We've got more and more questions coming in here. So should we move on to the next one?
Yeah. Do we have one about the adrenals so we can kind of roll with that topic as well?
Yeah, we do. What can I do if I have adrenal fatigue or dysfunction?
Okay, and that probably came directly from my talk this morning. So I'll just kind of redefine that, what that means. So you have these little adrenal glands that sit on top of your kidneys, and these little itty bitty things, probably the size of a walnut, maybe even smaller. But they are the ones that are responsible for helping you basically manage life. They're the one that give us our capacity. And they do a lot, Karen. It's really, so they regulate blood pressure, they regulate blood glucose levels. So like these little guys are super, super important. And they're also helping us manage all of our stress. So what'll happen is that our body produces this hormone called cortisol, and cortisol is awesome for us. It gets a bad rap. I'll explain why in just a moment here. So cortisol gets a bad rap, but it's super, super important for us because cortisol in short-term uses can be an anti-inflammatory for the body. It can literally push us into fight or flight. So we can, like, if something happens, you can run away from a bear or punch or whatever, slam the brakes on real quick. So we use that hormone as a way to manage and manage life really. The challenge is this, is that if we're overusing the adrenal glands and we are constantly producing cortisol, we can actually lower the production of it because the gland gets tired. That's when we get in trouble. So it's not that too high of cortisol is a problem or too low. It's not having enough at the right time. And when the gland gets too tired, that happens. Sometimes you'll make too much of it, but at least the gland is still working. So that, how do we know the difference? We can test.
Yeah.
There's two kind of key things that might tell you that you have some type of adrenal dysfunction. It might be fatigue, it might be too fast, too slow. And the two different things of this. One, you wake up in the morning after sleeping, 6, 7, 8 hours, and you're still tired.
Yeah.
You have your cup of coffee. You're not leaving the door without your cup of coffee.
Yeah.
If you, most likely your adrenal glands are getting tired.
Yeah.
It is what it is. The other one, Karen, may be that you wake up tired, but as the day goes, you actually hit like a second wind and you're like wide awake in the early evening or right before bed.
Yeah.
So when we test the adrenal glands, it's a real simple at-home test. It's a functional test. It's a saliva test.
Saliva, yeah.
Yeah, like we literally can send it out, and once you get it, you spit in 5 vials through the course of the day and a test where your cortisol is. And by those kind of the scores coming back, we can figure out, are you too high, too low, or is it functional? Is it low in the morning, high at night? And then it gives us like specific strategies of what needs to be regulated. Is it an adrenal, but also like your hypothalamus gland? Is it an adrenal, maybe a gut issue? Is it more of an immune issue here? So there's other markers that, for us as practitioners, they clue us into like how to specifically help, get your adrenal glands back on board. And the nice thing is that once you support them well, like often you make some lifestyle changes and you're supporting the adrenals simultaneously, you see a nice change relatively soon, which is pretty cool. So is it testable? Absolutely. What do you do if you have fatigue? There are a couple things. One, sleep, sleep, sleep. You can't outrun tired adrenal glands. You cannot. And, I started this off by saying they regulate blood pressure. They regulate blood glucose levels. Your first line of immune response. So all three of those things can get really wonky. Like you can end up with blood pressure issues and, because you can't regulate, via your adrenal glands, blood glucose levels. So I'm a big fan of monitoring blood glucose on a regular basis because your blood glucose, your diet can be good, but your glucose could be off, and it's often a sign that you're just getting too fatigued. So those are just good options and just, things to pay attention. Then there's some specific supplements that we use. Of course, sleep is the best supplement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So usually, I'm not, treating anyone here or acting as everyone's doctor, but typically what I'll do in that scenario, I use something called Adrenal Desiccated. That is literally it's nurturing the gland. It's almost like repairing the tissue itself. That's the best way to think of it. And then I'll use two other things. I'm going to feed the gland, and then I'm going to give it the best herbs for that gland. So when I feed the gland, I want to make sure I got something that has some B vitamins in it. And then also, most importantly, is the C vitamins. So the C vitamins need to be that full complex, because that is what the adrenal glands use as food. A little bit of zinc is important, a little bit of copper is important. So there's a product we use called Drenamin, and that has it all together. So that's what's really important there. And then the herbs are the ones that really help the action happen faster. And I use something called Adrenal Complex. And typically that's made up of something called Romania and licorice root. And both of those are tonics, really. They help heal up the adrenal glands. So that little combination there, and you're thinking about using that for a couple months, because that's your adrenal glands get tired. It took a long time. So I'll see it, Karen, like someone's going through a divorce and they're fine through the divorce, and then afterwards they tank. A good example of what I'm seeing right now, post-COVID, everyone post-COVID, if you had symptoms during COVID, you're going to need adrenal support.
Yeah.
You got pushed, you got taxed. So there's a term called long haulers, and that's people who are having these long hauling symptoms post-COVID. They have to address the adrenals. Like, they need to be on a full-blown adrenal protocol so the body can catch back up. So that's a good example of someone who need it nowadays.
Everybody who had it, really. If you got it, if you had it, it potentially taxed your adrenals.
Yeah, but like if you went through a rough bout, you're not about how, like, for me, it was a bit of a rough bout, and not because I think COVID was super bad. I was just super not ready for it. I literally was doing everything I'm talking about here and talk about every week, like get rest and eat right and get your mind clear. I did all the opposite. I was barely eating. I wasn't sleeping good. It was weeks. We were about to open up our cafe. It was weeks on end. I was super vulnerable. And sure enough, in that moment, I was vulnerable to a virus. Viruses love vulnerable, hosts. I got the COVID, and I didn't have much in the realm of, like, a lot of people have like coughing and breathing issues. Didn't have any of that, but I had fatigue, and just felt like not good. Like, and I literally, there was, I would say 2 to 3 days. Like, if the house was burning down, I was going with it. Like,
yeah, you weren't moving.
And here's my interesting point about that. Forget about COVID for a moment, because I have people that are in that state and they call me and they text me, and I'm perfectly okay with that in this realm right now. And they say, man, I'm so out of energy. What do I do? And I'm not trying to be a wise guy when I say, what does it feel like? What's the best thing what does it feel like you should do? And then they always say, man, all I can do is sleep. So that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
So I really, I don't give them my energy tonic when they're getting through COVID. No way. I don't want them to have energy, because the body never lies.
Yeah.
That moment, I knew it, and I knew it was going to take a bit of recovery. So I was probably out of the gym for, probably 2.5, 3 weeks. And not that I couldn't have done it, but I'm just, as we were discussing before the show, at 50 plus years of age now, my approach toward these things and honoring and recognizing and being more honest with my body is way different than it was 20, 30. Well, listen, when I was 20 or 30, if it didn't kill me, I was going to keep going. Fevers, didn't matter. I was just going to keep pushing. I can remember having, 101 fevers playing a rugby game. I wouldn't even consider doing that at this point in my life.
Now, not that you would recommend that for other 20 and 30-year-olds.
No. Heck, no. Some of the dumber things I've done.
Yeah.
And we didn't have Google and stuff back then. We didn't have, healthy blogs. We can go to our podcast to learn anything. I thought the only way through it was just to be a tough guy.
Yeah.
And in that mentality, so really, it's about being a smart guy, a smart woman, and listening to our body. And that's the individual who wins, the one who is smarter. And all these people will be like, well, I've always been able to push through it. Yeah. Good luck. Good luck with that one. Like, it will catch you. Just like it caught me and catches many other people. So, and I think we're all a little bit guilty of pushing it. That's what we know how to do.
Well, definitely. And life is so busy. There's things you need to do. You might want to go to your job. You might have your kids. You might have all these things that you've committed to. People don't take time these days. When they do feel down, they take something to get them through the day, keep pushing. But as you said, that's not a long-term strategy for health at all. And then when things come up, you're more vulnerable to having a worse reaction to them.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm definitely not implying pushing through is a smart strategy whatsoever, no matter what age you're at. I wish I learned my lesson. I learned them the hard way, and now, and that's part of the reason I share this message, quite frankly. Like, I wouldn't tell it, like, listen, I'm a tough dude, but I will tell you, my body gives me a little feedback, and listen, there's a difference between like, I'm tired and I'm bored and like, I don't want to go work out or I don't want to go to work.
Yeah.
Versus, I've heard that signal before, the throat, the ear, something, and it's just time for me to take a break. And the better we get at that, the longer we're going to be able to survive, the longer we're going to be able to get through this thing called life and be able to enjoy it. I mean, the difference sometimes is going to be 2 days being down versus maybe 2 months if you're not careful.
Yeah, if you just keep pushing through. That's a good one though. Like being tired because you're bored or uninspired. Sometimes that can totally be something, in terms of feeling tired. But yeah, for me, we were talking before, for me, it's my throat. I always start to get a sore throat. And that's when I know, oh man, like I need to have an early night.
Yeah. So just another note on the adrenals, because it's not something you feel like, you don't feel like a physical ailment.
Yeah.
There are some other symptoms that'll go with it. So for example, if you're pushing a lot of cortisol consistently, it's not uncommon that you start to gain weight. In that way, it's not the favorable weight. Like it'll be around the midsection, typically like between belly button and upper thigh. Oftentimes at the same time, could see some muscle atrophy.
Okay.
Yeah, and it can be a little confusing then because the scale might not change, and you can get a little bit what we call skinny fat. And I see that a lot. Like the upper body, the density of the upper body will change, and then you get this kind of like almost like a little bit more pear-shaped in the body. And those are important things. If you see things like your skin starting to change, where like you scratch easier, you bruise a little bit easier. Those are all things that like your body uses the vitamin C to bind collagen. And if you don't have any of the vitamin C because your body's dealing with so much stress, because your body again, your adrenal glands will store at least 50% of your vitamin C in the body. And if they deplete it all, your skin starts to break down faster. So there's other things. And then that's the same reason behind why people that have adrenal dysfunction will start to get more and more sore from their workouts.
Yeah.
Because they can't recover, they can't repair, because again, that same collagen, binding ability isn't there anymore.
Yeah. Well, following on from that a little bit, we've got a question here on Facebook. Lately, I've been getting up in the wee hours of the morning. Could it be, is it because I've got things on my mind, or could it be due to something else?
Well, we never wake up because of what's on our mind. You're asleep. Okay.
Yeah.
When you wake up, you might go to predominant thought. You might go to the first thing that pops in your brain, which was the same thing that usually happened right before you went to bed. So that's how that works. But when people say, man, I can't sleep, I'm just, my brain is going so much, and they wake up and then they think it's because of busy brain. No, it doesn't work that way. If you're waking up in the wee hours in the morning, and I'm just going to make a guess here, you're talking about 3, 4, 5 o'clock. The liver is usually 2 to 3, 2 to 4. If you're waking up between that time frame, you start to get into a little bit later than that, like into the 4 and 5 o'clock. Sometimes it could be a little disturbance in the gallbladder, or even what we call the heart meridian. It could be blood sugars getting too high, too low. So I would say change up, or just improve your going to bed like routine.
Yeah.
Eat a little bit earlier and go to bed a little bit earlier, and see if that doesn't swing that pendulum a little bit. And then, always could add a little bit of magnesium. Oftentimes a magnesium depletion will prevent us from staying asleep long. And sometimes that's the simplest one.
Yeah. So we've got another question on magnesium. It was, I know you recommend magnesium for most people. Is there a good lab test for it? Can you know if you're low in magnesium?
Well, magnesium is super important, Karen, and it is probably one thing I would say that all of us, I can almost go that far, say everyone would benefit from some level of supplementation in magnesium because it's depleted in so many ways, and your body uses it in about over, I think at this point, 300 different enzymatic reactions in the body. So it is, and once we don't have it, now all of a sudden things start shutting down. For example, like our quality of sleep. There is not a good blood test for it. Now I run labs and it does have magnesium on it, but I bypass that. That's just telling us what's in the blood, but we really, with the effectiveness of magnesium, really is what's going to be in the tissue. So there's really not a good blood test. It's really, the answer is no to that. And typically what I'll find is that most of us could use more than we have. It is in a lot of different vegetables and whatnot, but 300 or 400 milligrams is the baseline, like literally baseline. But if you sweat, if you eat sugar, if you have carbohydrates, if you have stress, if you have alcohol, all of those depleted at twice the rate. So it's one of those things where it probably should be part of your kind of daily routine when it comes to the different supplements that are probably across the board just good for every one of us.
Well, and what's our magnesium supplement that you recommend?
I use something called magnesium lactate. There's all different kinds out there, Karen, some better than others. I found that one to be the most bioavailable and means it'll be the gentlest on the body, and often typically you don't need as much. So some people take certain types of magnesium and it like disrupts their gut really fast, and and we don't want it to work like that. And the beauty of this one I use called magnesium lactate, it crosses the blood-brain barrier as well. So we can get it up into the brain, which is awesome. The brain needs magnesium. So that's my favorite to use. There's other good sources like magnesium citrate is a good quality source, but I always stay away from something called magnesium oxide, and that's probably the majority of supplements out there.
Okay, awesome. Next question. Hi, Karen and Dr. Bart. How do you treat the onset of gout?
The onset of gout. So there's a couple things. We covered this the other week. Really, so the gout is interesting where it's not caused by meat and all that stuff, but your inability to break it down properly leads to things, like gout symptoms. Now, typically gout is going to show up either like far away from the heart is really what it's going to do. Like at the your big toe or the knuckle just on the inside of your big toe, or sometimes like in your thumb. And really what happens, Karen, in that scenario, your body's filtering stuff and it can't filter certain things, what we call crystals, and they get through the kidneys. So gout is often a situation with the kidneys not functioning as well as they need to. And these crystals lodge in these different joints. So that being said, a couple things you can do. Anytime you can reduce the frequency of eating, so intermittent fasting is beneficial. We need to ramp up we got to kind of rehab your digestive system so your liver can break food down better. In the short term, leaning away from some of those meats, but it's not a meat issue. It now could be a bad meat issue, but so often the meats get blamed here. And then there's something that we call Phosfood liquid. There's drops. These can help significantly the joints themselves. So we use those. We usually do about 20 drops in warm water. And we do that one to two times a day and clean up the diet. And if you have a history of it, know this, you're vulnerable for it to come back. So whatever you do to get it clean, you got to stay on that path.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, next question. My husband is 62 years old and has lipoma on his neck. What is the cause for getting the lump and how to get rid of it?
I probably don't have enough detail to answer that, but that's your body. So lipoma on the neck is essentially, it's your body walling something off. So your body's trying to get rid of something, but not knowing where it's located or what it looks like or the size of it, and all things you need to know. Like, is it tender? Is it hard? Is it soft? Is it getting, how fast is it growing? How aggressive it is? So at bare minimum, I'm going to send you off to a dermatologist on that one. If it's more like, like a skin thing. So I'm going to kind of shuffle that answer too, because I can't see it. I don't want to give something and bypass what probably needs to be done, have someone look at it quickly if it's like in a growing phase.
And if people do have more specific questions where even obviously this person can go and see a dermatologist, but if they wanted to talk to you, do they have to be in Seagrove Beach? Like, how do you work with people?
No, absolutely. We can do it right here, like on like a Zoom call. So anywhere around, the country, the world for that matter, that works. So they just contact the office, Karen. They set up a time. If we need labs, we can do that. But just like we're doing now, we set up in the privacy of their own home, and I'll be right here in my home with my crew behind me. Just real quickly, back to that lipoma. If they're talking about a fatty tissue, and this might be what they're thinking of here. Sometimes you get these little like fat pods. That's what we call. They're underneath the skin. They've been there forever. There's really nothing we do about them. They don't hurt, and they don't cause anything as well. Sometimes we don't like them visually, and sometimes they're just in an odd spot. And so there's these what we call fatty pads, and that could be what they're talking about here. Can you guys hear her?
It's quite loud. Oh, Paris, we still love you.
No, this is probably just louder here. All right. You can run over there. So if it's lipoma, there's not much you do it. I don't recommend having them cut out. Your body is producing it for some reason. Some of us have those lipomas on the inside, and some of them have us on the external skin. So if this person who's asking a question, if this is like a new one, that's a little bit different. But if it's something that's been there for a long time, probably not going anywhere.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here's the next question. It might sound crazy, but a watch battery that should last a year or so goes dead on me in just a few weeks. Things like this happen to me frequently. People frequently tell me they feel energized around me, but I often feel drained. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, so this is not that uncommon of a phenomenon. We all are energy sources. We definitely all energy sources, and your energy might be a little bit. So if I heard it correctly, like your body will drain a battery.
Yeah.
I say this is frequent, but this definitely happens, and there's nothing wrong or right about it. We all have energy fields. We all have energy. The people, if they say they're drained around you.
No, they are energized around her, but she feels drained. She often feels drained.
She feels drained. So
yeah,
I think it's very important that for this individual to be privy to where her energy is going, right back to that conversation earlier. And there's going to be some people that coordinate better with her energy and others that don't. So it's very simple. Like our vibration in our body is an energy field. We are just this big ball of energy. And one of the ways to just kind of think of it is that, and there's no wrong or right. Let's just say that, Karen, I turn the radio station on and my frequency, I love when I dial it in and I hit country music. Like, I don't even know if I do. Let's just say it's country music.
Uh-huh.
I live in the South. I definitely like it more and more.
All right, go.
I actually find myself looking for the country songs, which is weird.
Yeah.
When I dial it in, when I connect with that, we're just on the same vibration, which is cool. Now, if I turn to the next station, it's like heavy rock. It just like doesn't feel right. Like if it's metal. And those are just different vibrations. They're different frequencies. So every single one of us has a frequency we run on. And we can alter our own frequency by those things that I was talking about. That's all about energy. And whatever's influencing that energy the most is really what's going to happen to it. So if this individual happens to drain batteries, so be it. If other people suck your energy, pay attention. Like there's different energy fields. Some people understand, like if I say that you're an empath, very, very sensitive to other people's emotions. Same thing. Like you got to be privy to it. Like no wrong or right. That's who you are. And just knowing it, and you don't have to excuse yourself for it. You don't have to apologize for it. Just, hey, listen, you're here to have the best life you possibly can. So, just surround yourself with people that can elevate and, listen to the same country music that you're listening to.
Yeah, I love it. So true. All right. Next question. Is someone with a 6 lumbar vertebrae more susceptible to back injuries?
No. So, you might think so, but no. So typically we have 5 lumbars, those are the bones in our lower part of our spine. And when you're born, though, you had 5 more. And so your sacrum was 5 separate bones. So what happens to this individual has a 6, their sacrum is typically made up of 4 bones and they have 1 above it. But because where that 6 lumbar sits, it sits right above the sacrum and right in between the 2 iliums. It's really strong in there. So no, just think that you are special. That's all you need to know.
I love that. Exactly. Okay. If someone has had the vaccine and are regretting it, how can they clean their system out?
Fair enough. And I think that's a real question. And, meaning that I literally got it just before I left my office today.
Yeah.
Mom and dad talked to me and they're having a conversation, and just to keep it real here, the mom and dad got the vaccine, didn't notice anything. Their 15-year-old son got it and is still having a problem.
Yeah.
So, like, what's the difference here? What do you do? So if this question was they had their vaccine and they're regretting it, how do they clear their system out? So you get clean. You get super, super clean. So we're going to incorporate all the things that we talk about in this Making Health Simple show. 1, incorporate some intermittent fasting, but not if they are symptomatic. So if they got the vaccine and they're not feeling good, we're not going to push the body with the intermittent fasting then.
So we need to get better first.
Yes, we have to be stable. We don't use intermittent fasting, Karen, when we're like we're already pushed, like we're already down a little bit, and then that's not the best time to use intermittent fasting. So for the individual that wants to get clean, milk thistle is your number 1 herb, hands down. There's another really good herb that works for the liver. It's called Shishandra.
Okay.
That if you want to get those 2, there's a product that we use called LivCo.
LivCo.
LivCo. A great combination. There's both can detox and repair. So that's going to be your number 1. The reason we need to get clean, we got to imagine that something's infiltrated the body. You've got, no doubt you have a spike. You have an inflammatory process in the body. Now we got to get the inflammation out. If there's a bunch of stuff already in there, sugar, blah, 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 it has a hard time getting out. So turmeric, we use turmeric Forte. And we go pretty heavy dose. This is what I've been doing for peeps. I put them on a pretty strong dose, about 6 a day, which is way more than I normally would. But I definitely want to help down-regulate everything. We put them on a good fish oil. My favorite tends to be cod liver oil. If they have access to an infrared sauna, this is phenomenal. I know everyone doesn't, but if they have access to an infrared sauna, I absolutely would do that.
Okay.
If we want to go to the next level, I would do our cleanse, where you act as a vegetarian, and again, only so we can just give the digestive system a break and enhance the system of digestion. It means the liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas, the intestines, and the lymphatics. So a nice 10-day cleanse combined with what I just said there would really give your body a great opportunity. Will it get the vaccine out? Probably not, but it's going to most likely remove any of the adverse effects in that moment, that inflammation or tissue damage or anything like that took place.
Yeah, and it's really it's going to be the best that you can do with what you've got at that time, right?
Yeah. And then the other part,
that's what we can do, the best we can do.
Yeah, and the other part of it too, just the emotional part, the psychology of it. Let's never regret anything.
Yeah.
Let's always learn, and I know it's hard to say sometimes when we make decisions that don't work out for the best of, our best, but living in regret is painful, and it'll suck the energy and life right out of us. So don't, no matter what it is, just if you do something and it doesn't work out, all right, well, I'm not going to do that again. and just let's roll with it. Let's be honest, no, be like, yeah, I did this and I'm not doing it again. Why? Because I tried it and it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
But the energy of regret, let's put it behind us, and coulda, shoulda, woulda, and let's not have any fear and concern and all that kind of stuff that goes with it. Let's just plow forward.
Yeah, especially in potentially this case, they were doing what they thought was best at the time with the information they had at the time.
Yeah, 100%. Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Following on for that, we've got a question. Have you seen anyone with adverse vaccine reactions?
All right. So the answer is yes. And so I want to kind of answer this in a couple of different ways. So the question is, have I seen people with adverse vax reactions? And the answer is yes. Some better than others. I don't talk about them a lot for a reason. And don't get mad at me, everyone. So let me explain why. And it's not because I'm ducking or hiding anything. There's a specific reason I don't talk about the adverse cases that I see. And I do see some, and there's some real stuff going on out there. I would say this: what you're hearing out there, there's some truth to it all. The reason I don't do it is because I don't want to play in that same field of using fear to make a decision. And people here watching the show tonight, and my patients in the clinic, and we're very blessed. We have a huge audience. If I use fear and tell people this is this bad and this is this bad, I'm really not doing anything different than the stuff that's going on right now. And I don't agree with the way that we're doing this. I don't agree with the way that we're helping people make decisions. I think at this point there's like too much fear and angst about it. So I've chosen not to participate in saying, well, I've got this bad case and this bad case and this bad case. Do I have some bad cases? I do. Yet that's not the point. The goal is always this: is yes, I had some adverse. We see some adverse effects. I'm not going to lie. Yes, I do. We're having some pretty good results with them. Some are tougher than others, and it always goes back to what can we do? What else can we do to make ourselves stronger? Listen, there's a lot of things we do in our lives that could create adverse reactions. To gather data, Karen, from day one, I've said time.
Yeah.
Time. And I have not been shy about how much time. 5 to 7 years.
Yeah. We need to actually be able to see what's going on.
We do. And if we don't like that answer, so be it. That's my honest answer. Everything in between, everything you see out there, the pros and the cons, there's some truth to every single bit of it.
Yeah.
And that's why I still think for me, my family, my friends, when we have conversations and I'm helping them make decisions, the biggest thing that I encourage them to use is time. And in the midst of that time, use that time to get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. Yeah.
Hey, because that's never going to have any downside. Focusing on getting yourself stronger and healthier and the best version of yourself is only ever going to have positives, right? There's no downside to that.
And yes, and that's, and I'm not like oblivious to this. I don't really so I have my mother and father-in-law, my mother, they're older. And I have patients that are concerned that they've got vaccines and they're still concerned because they know those vaccines are wearing off or they haven't been vaccinated and they're hearing all this stuff. So for all of us, it is the good news now is I believe that a stronger amount of people understand the importance that, like we've said from day one, that a virus is going to do what a virus does. A virus does a virus. And we have to get stronger. And there's going to be certain things you can do in between that may protect you a little bit more, but at the end of the day, we have to be stronger. And that message won't stop. And then time is always our best friend.
Love it. Okay. Next question on from that. Which vitamin C supplement do you recommend?
Which vitamin C?
Yeah.
So very specifically, and great question, because they are not all made the same, not even close, is something called Cataplexy. And that is through a company called Standard Process. Karen, maybe you could put the link there as well.
Yeah, got the link.
So Cataplexy, what makes the biggest difference there is so the Cataplexy that we're going to use is going to be the full enzyme. And that is so important, especially when we're talking about utilizing something that activates and supports our immune system. Regular ascorbic acid will acidify. If you have bacteria or virals, it'll slow them down, but it doesn't necessarily activate your immune system. Right now, see once you have COVID, like high volume IVs and stuff like that, supportive. But prior to that, we want to make sure that we have a get from fruits, get from vegetables, or this type of one we call Cataplexy. This one, what we call Cataplexy, so make sure that we can activate the immune system, and 6 a day minimum.
6 a day. All right, awesome. I'll put the link in the chat for you guys. All right, next question. Oh, I'm allergic to dogs. What can I do?
Well, that was my old world.
I can't even believe that was your old world. Tell us.
So I grew up severely allergic to dogs.
Crazy. Look at you now.
No, I know. Then my family still asks me, like, well, what do you do about your allergies? So let me explain. This is like pretty close to my heart when it comes to this. So growing up, I was really allergic to dogs to the point, and I loved animals, but I loved animals. I had these allergies, and then they would trigger asthma. So bad, Karen, I literally 2 or 3 different occasions, I woke up in a hospital because I passed out. So I could only imagine the duress I put my parents under.
Oh.
It passes out, like I'm unconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I wouldn't know, I remember like not being able to breathe, like literally like moving my whole body, but I'd still be like surrounded by dogs and cats. And that's what I just did. I loved them. And I was too young to link them. Anyways, it got to the point, this is sad, like this is what it is, but there was a point where my parents didn't know what else to do. They got rid of our dogs.
Which would have been such a tough decision for them.
I'm sure it was absolutely brutal. Like, and you know what? God bless them. They never told me because it was me. I like totally broken my heart. Like I didn't even know. Anyways, what do we do? There's a couple routes that I would say here, a couple of things I've learned along the way. One, we got to get stronger. Like the individual has the allergies. There's something I'm gonna tell you to do for the human, but also for the dog. So for the human, we got to get clean, right? So my biggest move back then, Karen, I know this sounds crazy. My biggest change when I started drinking water, I started becoming better hydrated. So I didn't drink a lot of water when I was young. So then I started getting hydrated better so I can flush things through. So here's a couple recommendations of that. If it's possible, take between a 30 and a 60-day timeout the best that you can. So very much like a food allergy. When like the elimination diet works for a reason. You call it timeout. You downregulate all the allergic, like we'll say receptors and the alarm signals that are going off. So you turn the alarms off. Now your body can often handle it in small doses. So ultimately that's going to be the goal here. So if there's a possibility of having like either super clean, house, or dog doesn't go into a certain room that you have at home or something like that, that's step number 1. Number 2, there's 2 different things that I love to use when it comes to allergies. One is a product we use called Allerplex. Absolutely awesome. It's robust and will literally help you build your immune system. One I've been using over the last couple of years is phenomenal. I did not have this when I had dog allergies. I had neither one of these. It's something called black cumin seed. This is awesome. You only need 1 a day, and it helps really with all allergies. So not just dog allergies.
And is that okay, yeah, what did you say?
Black cumin seed. You have that right?
Black cumin seed. Okay.
And for any reason, Karen, if any links don't work, just have them call the office. And we can make sure that happens. But here's the important thing. The biggest change that then the water helped. I didn't have any herbs, vitamins, anything here, but there's 3 things that I'm going to have anyone that has constant allergies. The gluten's got to go, the dairy's got to go, and then the next thing I'm going to say, in my scenario, and for a lot of people, if you're eating a lot of peanuts, okay, that are not organic and they're not really like high quality. You're eating Jif peanut butter and all that stuff. They're so rancid in the sense that they build up so many molds that you're always in an allergic state. So that is why I think nuts and nut butters are awesome for people. But when I see allergies, I often take them out of people's diet, especially peanuts. A little bit different with like cashews, a little bit different with almonds, but peanuts specifically, if you chronic allergies and asthma and all that kind of stuff, we got to work on making sure we really kind of balance out the body. So love intermittent fasting, got to get rid of the gluten, and dairy's got to go as well. Those were a game changer for me. And then without even having immune strategies, my immune system got better, and then I could manage dogs. So I want to then give you a quick tidbit for the dog itself. You guys might know that my wife and I have a couple dogs.
Couple.
So, a couple, yes. We might have more than a handful plus, right?
Yes.
And so, but there'll be some dogs that I go pet and stuff. I'm like, whoa, like I could feel my body have a little response to this dog. But for some reason, to my 8 dogs, I don't. And listen, a clean dog is less allergenic. And I don't mean clean the dog every day. I mean a clean eating dog.
Wow.
The most significant thing I see with animals that if they have a good diet, which means a raw diet, like eat like an animal. If they have a raw diet, their skin is less oily and they have less dander. And this goes for the cats too. So they have less allergies for humans. So even people, like I literally have some clients that come into my office and be like, I don't get it. I'm not allergic to Bob. And they're allergic to every other dog. And because most other dogs aren't kibble and they produce a lot of oil and they're very toxic. So I know it sounds crazy and they'll smell less. I could be wrong here, but for the most part, I think you can walk into our clinic, and there's 3 dogs there on a regular basis. For the most part, I don't think you're going to smell dog. I think people might be just real nice to me and just say that they don't smell it, but clear.
Yeah.
So those are the things. If you do have some dog allergies, you got to get clean. And then if you help your pets get clean as well, it's a double win.
Wow, awesome. And I love that because I think with allergies, a lot of people are like, I'm allergic to dogs, full stop. As if it's like forever, always, I will be. It's like a full stop thing, like I am allergic to dogs and it doesn't have to be that way. So I'm sure you've blown some people's mind, even just that it's possible to change.
Yeah, and I pray that some people, they understand that, because I know some people that are animal lovers like my wife and I, and could not imagine not having, and they're living a life right now without their dogs because of their allergies.
Yeah.
And I'm living proof, like literally, and I'm telling you, I did it without all these strategies.
Yeah.
I got rid of dairy, not even full blown gluten, but I got rid of dairy and I drank a lot more water. And that was a game changer for me.
Yeah. Wow.
When dairy was in my life and ice cream and cheese and all that kind of stuff, like the bad dairy, there's just more stuff. More lymphatics were blown up more. And then the dog health themselves, huge difference. So my wife and I have had dogs for over 20 years together. And we got 8 dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sleep on my head. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Love it. Awesome. Well, we're out of time. Thank you so much, everybody, for all your amazing questions. Let's move into our last one. What is going to be our one action that listeners can take today to move us towards their goal of becoming superhuman?
Yeah, I love that goal, right? So becoming superhuman, that's the goal for all of us. And it's real simple tonight. It's just protect your energy.
Yeah, love it.
Everything, like be aware of it first. Like where your energy leaks, and no blaming people, no saying, hey, you're sucking my energy out of my life, I'm kicking you out. That's not right. Yeah. Where are you letting your energy go? Where are your thoughts, energies, foods, medications, drugs, old injuries? Like what do you fix up so you can get back into being superhuman?
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, everybody. We'll be back same time, same place next week for another episode of the Health Made Simple show.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us once again. And as usual, continue to take deliberate action. Remind your body, overall wellness, and you'll be awesome.